Inland Sports.
All right, now on the Inland Sports Show, we're going to dip our toes into the Baseline League as we check in with the Etiwanda Eagles and head coach Paul Unga. And coach, congrats on the Etiwanda gig. I know you're an Etiwanda guy. What does it mean to you to be the head coach of the Eagles?
Oh man, I pride myself. I was born and raised here, and grew up right down the street. And to be an alum of Etiwanda and to get this opportunity to coach my guys, my kids, I feel like it's a great opportunity for me.
I always feel like coaches, when they go back to their alma mater as the head coach, and take over the program so they can put their stamp on it, I just feel like it means a little bit more to some of these guys. I don't want to exaggerate here and say this is your dream job, but man, is it kind of like a dream come true to be back at Etiwanda as the head coach?
Oh, it definitely is a dream come true, and it got me out of Washington. I was in the state of Washington for the past 8 years, and this was the job that I've always wanted as a kid, and I'm back, and it pulled me away from Seattle, Washington. So I'm glad to be here.
Well, Coach, let me ask you, just as your playing career, your college career, your whole football experience, how has that shaped you in terms of the way that you coach now?
I always talk about I grew up in probably like the last of the old school coaches. I graduated in 2003, and I feel like it was right around there, 5, 6, 7. This turnover started to go, but I felt like I got the last of the tough coaches, especially when I went to college. I went to Arizona State, played for Dennis Erickson, and I feel like and that was his last stint, in college, and I got the last hurrah out of the old school kind of coaching. So I'm still that kind of coach, but I also know that these kids, they work different. 2025, so I got to be up with the lingo and the hip and all that. And I teach here as well, so it's kind of easy to kind of fall into the lingo. But yes, I try to kind of bring both, right? The old school coaching style with what the kids are doing now, and have a great merge. That's what I'm trying to do, at least.
Coach, this is kind of like a loaded question, but what do you think it's going to take for Etiwanda to be, back on top of the Baseline League, or, trying to get a playoff spot? They've been good for so long, and I know last year, wasn't a typical year for the Eagles. What do you think it's going to take to get these guys back to that level of competition where they're competing for meaningful things like playoff spots and league titles?
Well, the good thing for me, I've been gone for 8 years, so I didn't know none of that. Last time I was here, or even when I first left, my brothers were coaching here with Bias. They won, the state title. Yeah. And then for the last 4 or 5 years, I kind of been away. So the tradition with me, at least, it's been strong, right? We won a league title when I was here, and we were still good for there. So I kind of I'm hoping that I kind of just jumped into a time zone and then came back out and was like, hey, we're in 2025. But when I was here, we was always good. And that's kind of what I'm trying to bring back. It's just that energy and that feel that, these kids have been missing for a little while, but we've been pretty good for a long time.
All right, Coach, give me something that has impressed you about this team through summer workouts and now going into, traditional fall training camp with helmets and pads. What do you like about this team?
To be honest with you, man, the dedication that these kids put in. We were here every day in the summer, and since I came from Washington, I told them I'll be in and out during the spring because I was still living in Washington, but once the summer comes, I'm gonna be locked in and I'm gonna be here every day. And we did a percentage, and 87% of the kids showed up every day, and that alone is a testament to them of wanting to be great. Right? There's always talks of being great, especially with teams, and there's talk about changing the culture. But if the kids don't show up, who are we there to coach, right? And who are we there to breed another, culture into them? So I believe that was the kids. They did it themselves, and they wanted to be here, and they wanted to change. And I was just here along for the ride for them, and it's been a great ride for me.
All right, Coach, I'm looking at your schedule right now, and Etiwanda traditionally always plays, really good teams in that non-league portion before you get to baseline action. Open with Grand Terrace in week 0. Citrus Valley, Kurt Bruick does a great job with Citrus Valley. Cajon is always tough. Norco is always tough. Bishop Diego from the Santa Barbara area, they've been really good actually the last couple of years. So when you look at that non-league schedule, it's a great opportunity, right, to find out how good you guys are, or maybe some areas that you guys need to fix, right, before you get to baseline league play.
Most definitely. And then, for our scrimmage, we got Tustin coming up this Thursday. So, we wanted to schedule, obviously, teams that is going to get us prepared for this baseline league. We all know how the baseline league is, and how in and out it is, day in and day out. You got to grind it out. So the only way to make sure we get that real life competition and ready is we got to schedule these games, and back-to-back Cajon and Norco and then Bishop Diego. I think that is leading us to where we need to be. Right on time for our bye week, right the last week of September, and then we kick off with Ayala, right after that. So I believe that whoever does the scheduling, I didn't get to change, I didn't get to pick. It was already there, but they kind of knew what they were doing. We need to get toughened up a little bit, and you know how it is. We got to make sure we're ready and primed for league. That's all that matters, to us. Obviously, everything matters, but for us, especially in my first year, getting our guys ready for that October 3rd. I believe it's October 3rd kickoff for baseline league starts.
Yeah, you're right. October 3rd, right on the dot, Coach, against Ayala to kick off league play. But you're right, that non-league schedule, man, that's exciting. You got some really good teams to face in that non-league schedule to get you ready for league play. And hopefully, ultimately, a CIF playoff spot and a CIF run, at the end of the season. I know, first-year head coach at Etiwanda, but is your goal, your expectation, is that, hey, this is a playoff team, man. We need to have that mindset that we're a winning team, a championship culture to get back to the playoffs. Is that safe to say?
Well, as a coach, you don't ever want to breed a losing culture, right? So everything is about winning culture. But we talk about winning the day, like every day, right? And we just started school last week, Wednesday. Did you win in the classroom, right? If you didn't win in the classroom, you're behind the 8 ball already. Right. And then when you got to weights, 6th period, did you win in the weight room? If you did it, okay, now you're back 2, right? You're in the hole. Now you're down 0-2, And then if you didn't do great in practice, that's 3 strikes in one day, you're out, right? So we're already behind the 8 ball. So for us, it's winning the day every day. And it began in the summer, kind of like how we talked about. The boys showed up every day, day in, day out. And I don't see any different. And again, like I said, I teach on campus. I'm walking around campus and I tell the boys, if I see you hanging out on the campus, no, we're not doing that, right? You're going to be in the classroom, and I think our guys are leading the way in that. And I always tell them, you want to be the good examples, right? Let's change the culture. You got to be a good example in the classroom, good example on campus, and that it's starting to turn over. And though it is year 1 and it's still early, we haven't even played any games. I feel like the boys are doing it themselves. I'm just, like I said, I'm here for the ride.
All right, Coach, speaking of leading by example, I know we can't list everybody on your roster, but do a little name dropping. Maybe it's your captains, maybe it's a couple seniors, but who are some of the guys that we'll be talking about this season for the Etiwanda football team?
It always starts from the top, man. If you're in your locker room, the number one dude is your quarterback, right? Your signal caller. That's the standard and that's the expectation, right? That's both. And if he's not that guy, if he's not the leader, then you only go as it is with the quarterbacks, and that's the next level and the level after that, right? So our quarterback has been. At first, he was I had to nudge him a little bit. Hey, I need you to speak a little bit more. And I call him out about it. Hey, I need you to be a leader a little bit more. But as the summer gone, he's just been taking that. He's been taking it. And I think, it's been transitioning to a great move for him. And he's being that leader that we need on offense. And, we got our O-line, we got some good guys at O-line. We got G-Sean, he's coming back here. He's going to be a senior this year. We got Austin. He was a freshman last year. And then we got some transfer kids that, that came in and, hopefully they get cleared to make sure we go. And in our skill position, we got one return league guy, Chad Wakamoto. Other than that, we got a bunch of guys that played a little bit, but, we're kind of role players, and we're hoping they take that step, right? When it's your turn, it's your turn. So I'm hoping on the offensive side that happens. And leading just like quarterback on offense, our quarterback on defense is Chu Toki. He's a soft. He'll be a junior this year, and he was a returning first team All League last year as a sophomore. So we got some guys up front that I think it's going to help us. We got Carson Guy off the edge. We got some young guys that off the edge, and then we got some returners in the secondary. Actually, got one returner. Played a little bit of offense and defense a little bit last year, but was mainly a JV guy, JJ. And then we got some guys that, again, we got some key transfers, but those will come when they come. And we got to wait on CIF for those. I think we got some guys coming back that can really help us, and I think we're going to be okay.
All right, Coach Unga. Okay, so week 0 against Grand Terrace. I believe that's a Thursday night, right? Your first game.
It is. They changed it for us to a Thursday game. Yes, they did.
All right, and then like you mentioned, the scrimmage with Tustin this week to get you ready for Grand Terrace in that first game of the year. Yeah. Let's wrap it up like this. What are you hoping to see out of your Etiwanda Eagles in that scrimmage against Tustin? That when you walk away from that scrimmage, you're like, man, I feel good about our team. What are you hoping to see in that scrimmage from your team?
Or that when they see an opposing team, the light switch just turns. Playing fast, physical. If I walk away and we play fast and physical, we'll worry about the X's and O's, as the year goes on. Again, because we're bringing in a first-year offensive coordinator with Nick Acosta, and we're bringing a first-year defensive coordinator with my younger brother, Christopher Unga. So Kissy's gonna, lead our defense. So as long as we come playing fast and physical, I can live with the results and effort, right? We can't teach effort, and that's going to be on the boys, but I have no doubt that our boys will be ready for that.
Well, Coach, very exciting to catch up with you and, chop it up talking Etiwanda football. That is Paul Unga, the head coach of the Eagles. Join us here on the Inland Sports Show. Thank you so much, Coach, and good luck this season.
Thank you for having me, Pep. Appreciate it. Go Eagles.
Inland Sports.